So I'm so excited. This is my 5th year here at ChangeNOW, and the discussion around how to be an impact-first entrepreneur to me never gets old. It's just every time so inspiring to see people who are really doing the work of building a better society. And here we have just 3 amazing speakers that will tell us their story. I think before we jump straight into the conversation, it would be great if you could just give a quick introduction about yourself. I'll give you the challenge of introducing yourself in under 1 minute, telling a bit about what it is that you do and your founding story. If you want to start, Sébastien, please.
Yes, so I'm Sébastien. I'm the CEO of ClimateSeed. ClimateSeed is providing services to companies and funds, helping them to measure and reduce their carbon footprint, and then help them to contribute to projects that are generating some carbon credits. That's pretty much what we are doing in terms of background. So I'm a banker, let's say. I spent 10, 15 years in the banks. And then I tried to work for the good and created ClimateSeed.
Thank you. Anna.
Well, I'm Anna, founder CEO of Sustainable Development and Water for All. We develop and deliver sustainable solutions for water and sanitation, especially to rural communities in Brazil and other Latin American countries.
Amazing, thank you.
So last but not least, so I'm Mari, CEO and founder of Origin by Ocean. We have developed a biorefinery technology to tackle the eutrophication of the oceans. So we are using invasive seaweed species as a feedstock, and we refine them into functional ingredients which can go into different markets like textiles, home and personal care, cosmetics, and food. I'm a chemist by training. I've done my career in a big industry before, and Origin by Ocean has been a hobby of mine for more than 10 years. So I'm really happy to see that it's actually happening now. Nice to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you very much. I mean, you all already gave a hint to it, but of course, this is a panel about impact first. So it would be great if you can tell us a little bit what it is impact for you and how you're measuring it with the company. Want to go first? Mari?
I can start, yeah. So when you are an impact startup, I think you have to start from the impact first. So you have to find the tools, how to measure your impact, what you are wishing to have. And in our case, we started, of course, from the LCA, so the life cycle analysis, because we need to understand the whole value chain, the impact of the whole value chain, all the way from harvesting the invasive seaweed species, how we refine them, so whole chemical process, and then, of course, the decarbonization power we have as a functional ingredients in these different markets. Having said that, of course, one of the important things is that we want to remove the nutrients, so the nitrates and the phosphorus from the ocean, so we have to have tools to measure that as well. And what we realized from early on is that we don't have very good standards in this world to do so. Everyone is calculating the LCA in their own way. There is a lot of greenwashing out there. So we wanted to be very orthodox how we do it. So that's why we have developed our own way of calculating each step along the value chain. And we also give that as a service to our customer. So we actually follow that. We use LCA as kind of a guidance for our activity, where we need to improve, how we do it, and we have targets on that as well.
Amazing. Anna, do you want to tell us a bit about sustainable development and water
Yeah,
for
of
all?
course. It's pretty similar to Mario. We all need to understand better our business and do something very particularly. We cannot use a standard measurement system on the internet. And in SCW, we do use a lot of metrics, especially the SROI, the social return of investment. So in this way, we can prove with money how we can save money from the society, the government, by investing in sustainable solutions for water and sanitation. In this way, we can measure not only directly sanitation, but we can measure health, education, the economy of those families that we focus on, families that are in a vulnerable situation. So we can prove that, for example, before our impact, they spend around 50 reais, is almost 10 euros per month or every 3 months, treating the waterborne disease. And after our technology is implemented and all the social projects we implement with the community, they don't spend anything at all. So this money can be invested in culture, education, and so many other things Well, there's so many we can do with impact measurement, but definitely being a social impact startup, this is key for us to stand out and make people understand the importance of our work.
100%. Sebastian.
On our side, we have these two pillars of our offer. So basically, carbon footprint measurement and reduction. So here it's very easy for us. We are relying on methodology to help clients to reduce that footprint. So it's number of tons of carbon avoided. On the other side, for what we call the climate contribution, so clearly projects that are removing CO2 or avoiding CO2 emissions. Here we have kind of triptych approach. We deeply think that CO2 is not enough. It's just one component that come with biodiversity and people. And when we assess the projects, we are always looking at what is the impact in terms of carbon. Fine, this is a prerequisite. And then how is the local people benefiting from this project? How is it protecting the biodiversity? So I would say that on these two pillars, we have CO2 as a common denominator. But on the climate contribution, we had two layers, which are basically social and biodiversity.
Super exciting. And when we think about impact-first entrepreneurship, the idea of building a business, I think the ultimate goal, of course, is increase the impact that you're creating, also through that, scaling the business. One of the key components of scaling the business is often fundraising, right? Getting money in so that the business can grow. It can happen in different ways. You can hopefully get a lot of revenue in by selling your products, but sometimes before getting there, you might need other sources of capital as well, and that can be, especially for impact-first entrepreneurs, that can also be grants, that can be, other sorts of non-dilutive capital. It can also be venture funding from traditional or impact investors. I'm curious to hear a little bit about your fundraising story. What type of capital did you look for in to achieve which milestones in your company? So if you want to build on that.
I can start if you want, yeah. So on our side, we are kind of weird animal, because we are coming from a big group, BNP Paribas. We are a spin-off, so 100% funded by BNP Paribas, and then bought by AXA, another big group. So in terms of fundraising, it was let's say, a different story. We have only one shareholder, which is easy to manage. A lot of use cases that are coming from the group, which is good, business, but political issues as well to be managed that you don't have usually in a startup. Anyway, we needed to raise money, and I need to say that I'm not a very big fan of raising tons of millions, tens of millions, or hundreds of millions. I never measure the performance and success of a company based on the valuation or the amount of money that this company is raising, but more on how is it implemented. There's no free lunch. When you raise money, there will be at a cost. The bigger amount of money you're raising, or raising, let's say, we can change this world, the bigger, let's say, the cost will be. And when you're an impact company, you need to take it into account. Do I really need all this money? A company is not a duck from which you want to do some foie gras. So you need money, of course, to deploy what you need to deploy, your roadmap. You need work as well, people. But there is a certain amount of money that you need to raise to implement what you have to implement without going too far and having a big cost to reimburse your investor. So that's pretty much it. On our side, we are kind of weird animal. We have a mix of capital and debt. We raised little amounts in comparison to the competitors, but we believe in work more than capital.
In our case, we began, I was 17 years old. I didn't have much experience, but I started to look for funds from awards, accelerators programs that have these kind of funds. And just last year, we had our first impact investment from...
Amazing.
It was a pre-seed. Mm-hmm. And we know that is very important for us to have this mix of experience in a time. It was in the beginning was 2015. We started operating in 2019. We reached already I forgot the name in English. It's like the revenues were enough for us to maintain the company and grow. And just by last year, when we wanted to search for more opportunities and develop more technologies, we receive this funding. So every stage of the journey, we need to understand what kind of money would be strategic for us to use.
Makes a lot of sense. Mari?
Yeah, I think when we started in 2019, of course, we are not a spin-off of any university. We are a spin-off from my head. So it was a very different ball game to establish a company and just go out there and tell the investors that, hi, it's me, and I would like to do this. And everything started, of course, from the business model. I think it's very important to understand, especially in this deep tech field, where you have to build infrastructures, that what is the time when you are break-even, and how much you have to raise before, and what is the expectation when it comes to the revenue before that. And I agree with you, Sébastien, when you said that I think it's too focused on the raising rounds now, that we are kind of ranked as companies based on the fact how much we have raised money. I think it's a wrong thing, because it doesn't tell you about the market share, what you have achieved as a company. So I think there are two different tracks and the strategies you take as a company. If you focus on making an exit, that's a different strategy than if you focus on building a company. And Origin Bauschen is there that we want to build it as big as BASF. We want to be a big player. So, of course, in our case, we are looking at building a company. So we have to define, of course, the strategy of the investors as well, to understand that we need to exit them at one point, but how do we do that together? So I think that this world of unicorns is so yesterday that we should really focus on the fact that how do we build healthy companies for healthy planet and people. And I think it's a different ballgame, to be honest. I think the business models we've been using in the past, they don't serve the future in that sense. So I'm just expecting that there will be a lot of brave people out there who will basically change this way of thinking and how to raise money into the companies.
100%.
And having said that, we have raised from VCs and done the normal thing, and we have soft loans and we have grants and what have you.
Well, congratulations on convincing all those people to join you and be on board in your mission as well. I mean, to all of you. Talking about convincing people to join the mission, one bottleneck, sometimes even more so than capital, actually, is recruiting talent. And it's also one of the core pieces of scaling a business. So I'm curious if you can share a little bit, how did you go up about building a world-class team?
I can start. We go like that. It's a good plan. So it's all about people. I mean, one person can do only so much, which is actually very little. So I think that the team is the core, and also the fact that how you define the talent. And I think that that's something that we've done a lot of work internally to really define how we can grow the team also from the organic point of view. That when we have the people who joined early on, we want them to grow with Origin Bauschen. So I think it's very important that even though that we are a startup, we are now 27 people, we have to show people the personal development plan, how they can grow with the business and with the company. But I say that the talent is something that in our business, we need to have, I don't want to say hungry people, but motivated people that when they come to work, they don't come to work for get a pay slip every month. Of course, important, we all need money, but more from the fact that we do this together, we have a shared mission as a team to work on this thing. And I can see that we have attracted a lot of very talented people from the mission point of view, that they actually want to be part of the team because there is a clear mission what we are trying to achieve. Not just that we want to make this turnover or raise like millions and millions, but really why do we do this? And this is something that at Origin Bauschen we always ask ourselves. We have these discussions that we remind ourselves that why are we here and what's the core value that we share. So I think it's very value-based, to be honest.
For us, the same. We see that when people look for us to work in SCW, what they want is to impact the lives of the people. They want to see that their work really matters. They want to see that what they do is not just sitting on a desk and work whatever just to receive some money to live and afford buying things and everything. They want to see the impact. They are impact-driven as well as we are. This is really important to build a team. We know that we still need to have people that have skills, have the abilities. In the beginning, it's very important for the CEO to understand every possible job that we need to have in the team. But looking for the good people is a mix of abilities and being impact-driven.
I agree. This is one of the key components of a successful story for a company. People tend to think that as soon as they raised money, the hardest thing is done, which is not the case. Hiring people, be able to retain the people is very complicated. And it's really linked, it will really potentially cap the growth of the company. You can have the best idea, the best product, the capital, the roadmap. If you don't have the right people to implement, you won't be able to grab the opportunities, and you will be capped on your growth. On our side, something maybe that's a mistake I made personally, not recruiting an HR earlier. Having people, or let's say professional and experts with the ability to find the right people at the right moment. And now we have it, and see the difference that we have today to be able to onboard the people. So you have to identify the right people and then to onboard them to make sure that they are adapting to the culture, they have the right skills, the right mindsets, they are sharing the why. I like this expression, sharing the why we are doing it, and then retaining. And a company, or the culture of a company, will dramatically change between the startup phase and the scaling phase. When you are scaling, you're implementing some processes, and you will see the people that are basically here from the beginning don't find this new situation as comfortable as previously, and they're not sharing anymore the why. And this is kind of trauma in the company when you see part of the beginners or the people that were here at the foundation that are leaving because they are not able to recognize the new company and their own values. So that's a tricky thing. That's something, my recommendation to everybody that wants to launch a business, I would say two recommendations. The first one is hire illegal people with you. It will be your guardian angel. You will have the salespeople coming on one here saying you can do that, and that. Fine. And then you have the legal saying, are you sure? Which is super important. And the second one is HR.
Wow, super interesting. I think those good pieces of advice is usually what many of us actually come to ChangeNOW for, is to learning from each other's journey. And something which we hear as being at least a common trajectory in the entrepreneurial world is the big roller coaster that the journey looks like, right? It's full of high and lows, and I mean, yeah, I mean, you already shared a little bit of a lesson, but it would be great to maybe start with a high. Let's go first with a high. Can you share one moment or something about the business that makes you really, really proud? And of course, that's actually an invitation to brag. So feel free to really mention something that that you are particularly proud of. Go ahead, Anna. Okay,
for me, it was the start of the journey. And when I first started, actually, I was a scientist. I wasn't exactly an impact entrepreneur. I began with 15 years old by reading a book about the driest region of Brazil and how people suffer because they don't have access to clean water and sanitation. And then, as I had this passion for science, I tried to develop a technology that I, with 15 years old, could create by myself and people could replicate. And that's when I came with the technology called Aqualuz that cleans the water using just the sun radiation. It lasts for 20 years, and the only maintenance needed is basically cleaning with water and soap. And basically, this is the perfect solution for the driest region for Brazil and for other countries as well that has the same climate. And for me, it was I developed a technology that could change the life of the people. Of course, no one believed me at the beginning. It was a very long journey until we finally could start selling the technology. It was I have the idea with it was 2013, and we just started selling by 2019. It was 6 long years trying to prove myself as not only a scientist but as impact entrepreneur. And finally, now we have some very important recognition by UN, UNESCO, MIT, and that's when people started to believe that the work really matters and really could cause the difference in the lives of the people.
Some accreditation helped your journey. Yeah, come on. Warm up applause.
Thank you.
Well deserved.
I think there are a lot of, I would like to brag about so many things, but I choose one.
Come on.
It has been the growth in our team in 24 hours when we launched our first product together with a big brand. It was beautiful to see how our team changed from this very, I would say, R&D focused, process focused to commercial team. And it was very beautiful. We screwed up a lot of things along the way. Everything went wrong more or less, and then we learned. And it was beautiful to see that our team, we kept this type of empathy with each other, and everyone was kind of raising each other when it was very, very difficult. So I would say that was one of the best moments that we experienced together, definitely.
On my side, I think that when you're an entrepreneur, you're very focused on the operational stuff. You have your macro vision, your roadmap that you want to achieve, but you're really focused on the day-to-day job, all the problems you need to deal with. At some point, I think it's really interesting to drop the pen and look at all that is done and with the team. So, and basically today, if I remember in 2015, when I was sitting at my desk, with the idea of building ClimateSeed, spending 2 years to try to explain just what I wanted to do, and getting the okay to proceed and to go ahead. And now it's a 40 people company, 200 clients in 2 countries. We don't raise so much money actually when you compare to the competitors that raised tens or hundreds of millions. We have less than that, and actually, thanks to our work, we did that, we achieved that. And one particular moment was basically last November. We went with the team in a project that we funded in India, which is an agroforestry project, and we're basically helping farmers in India, poor farmers that don't have any income, by planting trees in their land. It's basically helping to clean the soil and giving them a little revenues in order to just have the minimum to live. And we shared this moment with the farmers. It was an incredible moment. So seeing really what we did in a few years, what we did, and how we are helping them.
Amazing. Well, thank you to the 3 of you for the inspiring words and story. And it would be nice, now that we mentioned the high, to share a little bit of the hard moments as well, because we know that it's usually with struggle and failure, actually, that we learn the most. And it would be amazing if you could just share with us maybe one hard lesson learned that might serve as an inspiration to some of the people that were, here passionate about hearing your stories as well. So maybe they will already just learn from it and avoid some of the mistakes.
I can start. So actually, back to what we discussed previously, HR. It's a very big frustration when you're a CEO. You have, again, with your roadmap, your vision, you know what you can do, and you're not able to implement because part of the team is not anymore in line with what you're building, or it's super complicated to find the right people to implement what you have to implement. So this is, for me, the biggest frustration I experienced since the beginning of ClimateSeed. And then I've learned, so boosting the HR team, the processes of integration of people, trying to get more, let's say, linked with all the people, spend some time with them, coffees to understand what they need, what they think is very important.
Very helpful advice.
Well, I want to give you an example with a graph. You imagine a graph. At the beginning, we are in this place where we don't know almost nothing about the business, and we don't know how to project the time and money needed to implement the things. So we think that everything will be easier, will be simple, will be cheap, and then as we are starting to learn more about this particular business, we understand that we need more money, we need more time, we need more people with more skills different than we have. And then the challenge is a long journey.
I think, yes, there are, of course, a lot of failures, but I'm so positive person that I never talk about failures as such, because I think failure is something that is so bad that you can't undo the situation anymore. So in my case, I always feel that the failure comes with people. I think I have failed quite a lot of times, actually, when it comes to hiring and when it comes to building and support the team. I think people business is the most difficult business. I think the chemical processes and the products and seaweed and what have you, way easier to build than people. And it just shows that I think we underestimate, in general, the time you have to put in to build the team and give support to people. So I think most of the failures that we have faced come from the fact that we have hired a person, we have realized that unfortunately we have to go to separate ways. It's tough for everyone. And when that happens, then I feel that something has gone wrong in the process, so I call it more or less a failure. But most of them, they are really related to people.
Amazing. So maybe as a final word of advice to everyone, impact-first business is also a business of people, and finding the best talent will be the core and really the key to unlocking a successful journey and an impactful one, hopefully. So I really wish you great success for the three of you. You're doing amazing work. Thank you so much for joining this panel. A big warm of applause for all of them. Thank you. Thank you very much.